Hi, guys. Welcome to Strong Female Lead. I'm one of your hosts, Tricia.
And I'm Tessa.
And on Strong Female Lead here, we ask ourselves whether or not Hollywood got it right. And we look at women and the portrayal of women in TV and movies. So I picked Love Actually because I remembered loving it when I saw it in the theaters. And I was curious about how the fuck this movie was going to stand the test of time. And the rewatch was enjoyable in terms of it just being very light, but holy shit, the issues in this movie. The last movie we did was Booksmart. This movie, Love Actually, does not break the SFL rating. This actually does the opposite. But super nostalgic and worth a rewatch if you're curious about how love and women were portrayed in some of these romantic comedies, which all tend to be very problematic. So, Tessa, initial thoughts on the rewatch of Love Actually?
I went into it with a lot of optimism. I was like, oh,
actually love? Right.
Yeah. I was like, this was a classic. 2003, great year for Tessa. First year of high school. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I saw this with friends, just being like all like, oh my God, my whole life is going to be like a scene from Love Actually. And like, these will be how relationships go. I'm glad it dodged that bullet.
Oh my God.
And I don't see a lot of similarities with myself in dating and Love Actually, which is a blessing, I suppose. But in terms of like, does this hold up? No, it doesn't. I think it does its best. And I think that that's like where the nostalgia comes in, where I'm just like somewhat unwilling to see this as a bad movie. I'm like, is it?
It's hard.
Was this bad? I feel like, if I'm just being my more critical SFL minded film watching self, I'm like, this is not good. This is especially coming from the high of Booksmart, being like, yes, someone nailed it.
So
someone's doing
good.
it. It's possible. And then to look, but it's also like, look how far we've come. Like, I don't think that a movie like Love Actually would get made in 2020. So that's a positive. And we had to lay that groundwork in 2003 to get a Booksmart in 2020 or 2019. So was it worth it? 100%.
I mean, agreed. The nostalgia colors it a little bit, but it's a time capsule. It's a time capsule that shows movies. It's a time capsule that shows how movies were made for women by men, and just all of the messages contained within them. And they're necessary. You can't get to where you are now without being somewhere else before. So, I mean, it's there. It's what it was. I don't think all movies had this message at that time, but I don't think that it definitely wasn't so out of turn that people were horrified by it. I mean, it didn't have great ratings by critics, but it's made a ton of money and people still fucking love it.
Yeah, I think this was an end of the progression that started with Titanic, of just like Americans love British actors and they cannot get enough of it. So it was a British filmmaker making a movie for an American audience, and this is what he came up with, which, okay.
I know.
I just wonder if this was written for a British audience, would it have been written in the same way? It kind of feels dumb, which is why I find it in some ways offensive. That I feel like it's not of the quality that I expect from British filmmaking, especially these actors. I'm like, could we get what's happening? I'm like, did you dumb down romance for an American audience? Or because I'm like, we understand Christmas pageants, and we don't have a prime minister, but we do have a president who is just enraptured, formerly just enraptured in like the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. So I'm like, we're familiar with Scandal.
This is a British screenwriter.
But I know
it's terrible.
Better.
Like the Brits are, yeah, they're a little bit more nuanced,
Maybe
I
we're
would
giving them
think.
too much credit. Maybe we are dumb.
But it was a co-production
really?
between the UK, the US, and France. So, yeah.
Getting here.
Right? So, because Colin Firth's character is in France at one point. I don't know what, I don't know. Yeah, so maybe that's the reason for some of this like awkwardness at times, but it did look like they wanted to make a ton of money and they wanted to do it around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And they just threw so many faces. There's so many faces in this. And that's the fun of watching these movies, is seeing what types of roles these actors were taking at that time. You know, a lot of these actors are way too good for the script. Like Laura Linney, Emma Thompson.
Yeah, Emma Thompson. Oh.
I mean, just
Bill Nye. Ugh, too good.
Colin Firth.
Yeah. Liam Neeson.
Liam
Liam Neeson is here. Pre-Taken.
Right. Hugh Grant.
Look at yet. Like.
Right. And Hugh Grant is not necessarily above the script. This sort of falls into like the Hugh
it seems
Grant
like it
playbook.
may have been written for him.
But
it feels like it's in the same vein of Notting Hill and About a Boy and now
exactly.
Like,
he's so handsome though, and he does do that like, oh, child boy, I'm a child, I've got boyish charm. And I have a weird thing with Hugh Grant because I do think he's very handsome, and he's also my brother's doppelganger, like in terms of an actor. So it's tough for me to suss that one out. I don't like it. My brother's nothing like him. You know, he's not like roguish, the roguish schoolboy, whatever, but he looks like him. And it's weird. Yep, that's so.
But I don't know. I find that like stumbling over my words. I'm British, but I'm just like somehow scatterbrained, but also brilliant to be annoying. It's like constantly watching the King's Speech. I'm like, I get it. I mean, sometimes stuff's hard, but also take a beat and then present your response. I think it's that boyishness that I don't find attractive. I'm like, I need you to take a beat.
Well, it just makes me feel like, why aren't I the prime minister? Like, what, that gets him out of everything?
Yeah.
I don't even know what he does. He dances, like he has time to like do a little jig. Like he just has ne'er a care in the world. I'm not even saying that correctly, but like that is Hugh Grant. Things just fall into his lap, and he's just he's supposed to be like really ornery in person, which makes me like him slightly better. But I
mean, how is that true? Wasn't he the one who was caught with the prostitute?
For sure.
Yeah.
What?
But you're particular?
Yeah. Okay, so Love Actually is a 2003 Christmas-themed romantic comedy film written and directed by a man, Richard Curtis. This will be very important as this discussion goes on. It's an ensemble cast. So it is truly like the ensemble of the ensemble cast. I mean, this has all the people that we discussed. Also, Mr. Bean, Keira Knightlly. Like, why Mr. Bean had to be in there? The Brits were like, we want him in there.
Americans know it's British.
Exactly.
We know 3 British people: the Queen, Mr. Bean, Daniel Craig.
Oh God, I know, and I don't think Mr. Bean's funny.
He's Bond. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but Mr. Bean, who I don't even know what his real name is, I don't think he's funny. I don't like that type of humor. But anywho, and as we said, this was a co-production, so that becomes evident and makes it like sort of choppy. Like it is placating 3 different three different countries in terms of how it's being made, which is an interesting idea, to do that, like a collaborative production like that, like a you know, an international collaborative production, unless it ends up like this. But basically, just their stories intertwined, and it's about finding love. It's about different types of love, you know, the love, it's about falling in love. It's about the love between, you know, a husband and a wife after 13 years of marriage. It's about unrequited love. It's about losing love. It's about, you know, the love of a father and his stepchild. It's about love, actually. And I read somewhere that actually is in the script like
So
over
many
20 times.
Oh,
So many times.
I think every character has an actually.
And I'm like, I don't even understand the title, to be quite honest. I don't know what it means. Do you?
I think it's like, well, love actually is messy in all of these ways
Oh,
and imperfect in all of these ways,
got
and
it.
inspiring in all of these ways. But let's be honest, the only storyline worth watching is Liam Neeson's and the little boys.
It's adorable.
It was so sad. It's so sad. Liam Neeson loses his wife, and then
And loses her in real life too. And I don't know when he lost his wife
mm-hmm,
in real life, you know, his wife Natasha,
mm-hmm.
and she died at in a skiing accident. She
Yeah.
hit her head, and I was just like, oh. I'm like,
It's
why put him in
before
that role? Was it a premonition? I forget when that happened, but anyways.
Yeah. Yikes.
The little boy was adorable.
Yes, very cute. Very cute kid. But yes, I thought that their storyline is the best. It just could have been only their storyline, and like really none of the others. I liked Emma Thompson's storyline too, but I'm like, it's definitely a B storyline to this main show, which is Liam Neeson and this little boy.
Yeah,
Like
B for
getting
bummer. B for fucking bummer of a storyline. She's like running around ragged, taking care of that entire family. And, you know, like the 10 minutes, she's like, busy yourself while I go do the boring stuff and get the stuff for our mothers. And then he tries to get a gift for a woman at work. Like, fuck him.
right.
I wish she would have cheated. That's what I think when I watch these movies. I know, I mean, I'm not for infidelity, but I hate just the woman just doing all the invisible work and then the guy just cheating. Like,
Just
I know.
disinterested and like tuned out or unplugged from the relationship, and I was like, what?
It's such a bummer. It's such a fucking bummer. Yeah, I'm like, why doesn't, when she finds out, let's switch this up, man. Let's have her go and do something. Oh, wait, we can't because a man wrote this and directed it, and that is not how it would happen. What she would do is they would have a non-talk about it, and then she'd stay.
I liked when she confronted him and pretty much asked him. She put it in a hypothetical, but it was like a very like thinly veiled hypothetical about what would you do if you just found out that your husband of 13 years bought a gold necklace for someone else on Christmas? Do you assume the worst? Or I like the way she handled it, and I like that she was like, you know, what I'm going to call British direct about it.
The conversation wasn't terrible, but like there wasn't any like real confrontation. We don't find out exactly what happened, and then she stays. That's sort of what it makes it seem like, which is a decision that you can absolutely make. And there's no weakness in any decision made surrounding that kind of thing. I felt like she had more options.
I feel like it would have been like disheartening if we would have seen him cheat with the office worker person, administrative assistant person. Then I would have been like, maybe some revenge or some like back and forth would be appropriate. But because they only limited it to gift giving, though it was a semi inappropriate gift, and if nothing else, the intention behind the gift is flawed. I think it would have been an overstep to show that character retaliating in like like burning his clothes, you would have been like, maybe we could have asked a question before we lit the house up. Like,
I know. It's left ambiguous, right? Whether he had the affair, like an actual affair or not. So there's a bunch of different storylines in here. We have got, oh, one moment. So these storylines, they're flying from every which angle. This is probably the most storylines I can recall seeing in a movie. I think there's 10.
I agree. And this is the movie that spawned like a generation of movies, like Leap Day, or no, not Leap Day. There was like a Valentine's Day and New Year's Day and Mother's Day, maybe
200
also?
Cigarettes, which I've told you about.
Yeah,
it's a great one. There's so many stories going on, but we've got, really, I'm just gonna skip over the musician.
Okay. Bill Nye. I was like, I don't know why we had to put this one in here, but yeah, I agree. We can just skip that one.
We're just gonna move past that storyline, which is basically just for the musical number, it seems. And I don't know, maybe like you said offline, a platonic telling of a love story between him and his producer or whatever. I don't know. It's terrible. Yeah. So then we have Juliet, Peter, and Mark. This is Keira Knightley and two men. Oh man, I think I'm going to say his name wrong, but Juliet marries Peter, who's very handsome. His name is Tweedle Ejiofor. Eek. I don't think I got that right. My apologies. And then Andrew Lincoln is his best man who videotapes the wedding. Juliet thinks that Mark doesn't like her, and Peter also thinks that Mark doesn't like her, but really he is just not talking to her because he can't handle himself because he's totally in love with her. So when she finally just shows up at his place to see the wedding video, because what was he thinking? They're eventually going to want a copy. But anyways, and she, throws that VHS into the VCR, and all we see is her and a bit of a voyeuristic type recording of her.
Yeah, I think you mean fucking creepy.
Just but a bit, yeah.
14-year-old me was like, this is so romantic. Like, he only has eyes for her. Zoom out to 2020. I was like, bitch, I think you were being stalked.
Yeah.
I think this is not okay. I feel like there's no consent for anyone to have this type of video of you.
And I think there's other videos like this, probably, of you.
Or at least photos
of you may want to look into that. Yeah. So the video was weird, and I do remember thinking it was romantic as well, but like stalker love was romantic love. Like that was what movies told us, right? Like, especially at that time. And then I'm just going to fast forward to the resolution of that storyline, because I don't know how else to do this movie. And we're probably not going to be able to do all of them, but they overlap. We find out who knows who, et cetera, later on and throughout the movie. Every once in a while, characters will sort of bleed over into other storylines. But the resolution of this one is he shows up at her place. She's watching TV with his best friend, her husband, and he just holds up a bunch of cards that are telling his feelings. And it's like, I remember thinking, oh, this is romantic, but it's also kind of shitty. And then she rewards him with a kiss. Thoughts?
I thought the storyline was entirely fucked up, and I do not like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I hate it. I feel like if you find yourself in the position of the best friend character, the Mark character, you got to take that shit to the grave. You take the L and bury that shit. Bury your emotions along with those videotapes in a deep, deep hole that we never speak about or think about again. until the day these two are divorced. And then bring that shit out. Not relationships on the rocks. You don't swoop in when they're on the rocks, when it's over. And be prepared to lose your best friend, because you cannot have both. This really, I think this is what sets people up for such interesting heartbreak, when you take these type of stories and in as a kid, and you're just like, oh my god, that's so sweet and romantic, he's professing his love, everyone should do that. But I'm like, is this the moment you should be professing romantic love? Because seemingly she's I just hate it. I hate it. Take it to the grave.
Yeah, either say that shit before they're married to him, or take it to the grave. Like, if you need to get that out, but he just does a big old dump on her. Yeah. And now she, and Keira Knightley really says like 5 words in this whole movie. And she's beautiful. Yes, of course she's beautiful. But I'm like, Keira, she could do so much. She's such a better actress, like it just really didn't give her a chance. And then I just read something that I think this was cut out, but it may have been in the trailer. His last card said, like, I'll love you forever, fatso. Like, as a joke. And I'm just like, this just goes with the theme of there's a ton of strange fat shaming in this movie of people that are not overweight. and it's not okay no matter what, but it's especially terrifying in this movie because, like, what the fuck? Anyways, I mean, obviously he was calling her fatso because she's like a tiny, tiny stick, but in another storyline, they're fat shaming a woman, and the women do it too, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I think it's not so common. Okay. I get that it's just like, to make her laugh. Like, obviously she doesn't even believe that she's fat.
No.
I think that, that would be a stretch if Keira Knightley in any way expressed body insecurity. And then he called her fat, so I'd be like, whoa, low blow. But for someone who's, seemingly very secure in her physique, to be called fatso is probably the way I'll take this the way that I assume that they intended it, just to be like, make her
funny.
Laugh. Yeah. Not funny though, not a joke, not good, but
right. It was supposed to make her laugh, but it's just like the fact that it comes up in other areas of the film though.
Yeah.
Makes it more so troubling, where I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah. It points it out in a way that makes you very aware that the other female lead, what is her name? Natalie, which is like, oh, she's so cute.
She's really so cute.
Makes apparent that there is something, at least bodily, quote unquote, wrong with Natalie. And I don't know if they want to draw, I'm sure they didn't consider it, but I wouldn't want to draw that type of attention to another actress because she's not wearing like a fat suit. That is her real body. Those are her real proportions. And so I don't understand that why you'd want to make another character in the movie, another actress, another person in general feel insecure for a laugh.
It was very strange. And then I also read somewhere that Emma Thompson did wear a fat suit. That is what the writer said in certain scenes. And I was like, what? In what scene? Good God. This is terrifying.
I mean, I feel like she was like wearing, what is that store that women only wear like gray and everything is like really long? It's like Eileen something. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a store that you find in malls. And, like,
I know the sweater. Yeah, I know the sweater you're talking about.
I thought she shopped there.
The sweater in that scene was overwhelming, but I'm just like, a fat suit?
And I was like, okay, we're just really burying ourselves within this fabric, which is fine. But why did you have to add the fat suit?
There's so much fabric in Emma Thompson's.
And I was like, where does anyone find this many shades of taupe? Like, you've invented new shades of taupe. It's no longer gray.
I feel like this isn't the
Eileen
only
Fisher,
movie.
that's it. That's
Ooh, yes. I feel like this isn't the only movie in which Emma Thompson is drowning in fabric. I feel like in a lot of her movies, like sometimes it comes across as fierce, other times I'm like, that's just a lot of time spent like putting whatever this thing is on, especially if it's a scarf. The winding.
Like, everything is just like weighing you down and tethering you to the earth. And I was like, why is this more comfortable? Why is this better than just wearing a t-shirt that fits in some way your frame? You're wearing like 3 pounds of fabric on top, 3 pounds on the bottom.
She's getting grounded. She's grounding herself.
As an actor, she's just like, how can I ground myself as old and frumpy? No offense to Eileen Fisher, because they actually have some like kind of cute things kind of happening right now. You know.
No, but truly, as a part of what we're putting on Instagram, I'm making a note. I'm putting a picture of her in that godforsaken sweater. That gray sweater. When she goes to see Liam Neeson, I didn't notice anyone else's clothes except the sweater that Keira Knightley was wearing when the best man came over. I thought that was kind of cute. It was like a white, sort of off the shoulder. I was like, ooh. And then the gray behemoth like fabric that was just insane. Okay, so that's the first storyline.
Yeah, I also just want to point out that like Emma Thompson's character wasn't that old. Like, I want to say she, at least in appearance, looked like she was in her late 40s. So there's really like, unless she finds that manner of dressing just like very comfortable and cozy,
right?
I didn't see any reason to like make her look frumpy. Like, her husband was going to make the decisions that he was making no matter how Emma looked. There's like some saucy little administrative assistant constantly throwing herself at you. Eventually you're going to take notice.
Yeah, and I think the actor was Alan Rickman is much older than Emma Thompson, or at least it seemed so. But then I read somewhere Emma Thompson, you know, Hugh Grant's supposed to be your older brother, but she's actually older than him in real life. But what does that matter? They looked the same age. She is like a year older than him. So that is the first one. Then the second is, that's the first storyline. The second one is Colin Firth. I thought this one, I love Colin Firth. I think he's so handsome. I thought this storyline was so boring and very strange.
Unnecessary. I was like, couldn't you just be stuttering around a castle somewhere?
He didn't belong. I feel like they just brought him to bring him in, but it was legitimately boring. And then also troublesome, just because it just the power dynamic of him over this woman who doesn't speak any English and is working for him. And she seemed to love him, so that's fine. It's all consensual, but it was just very, very male oriented, male driven. And it seems like the less the women speak, the better for all the men involved in this movie. Like, the women really aren't talking that much to them. And that's what also makes it sound very male driven as well. Like, it's just like, be pretty, don't talk that much.
I mean, hasn't that been the message men have been sending for at least the last 50 years? Just stop talking.
100%. I mean, truly, think about it. The women in this movie that have the man, whether it be the man that is in love with them or another man, do not talk that much. And then the women who it doesn't work out for, or who are in a tougher situation, do. Emma Thompson probably speaks the most out of any of the female characters. And then Laura Linney, it's not working out for her. And she does. She has more dialogue. I'm just like, oh my God. So bad. It's so bad. Okay, so let's just push past Jamie's Colin Firth. I don't know what else to say about it.
No, it's just boring. I wish the situation was reversed. I wish that, their roles were the same, but we could understand her and couldn't understand him. Like, if we were in France and neither one of them speak French, but we could see her dialogue, but we couldn't see his, even though he's speaking English. Like, I don't know. I think it would be interesting to have him still have the power, but us be on her side. Because we can literally understand her and we can't understand him, but he has like power and access to wealth, access to Ivy.
Yeah. I mean, because access to Ivy, yes, because it just seems, and then he just shows up in her native country. Where is she from? Is she from Portugal?
Portugal. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he tries to speak Portuguese and he sort of learns a little and she learns some English. And I don't know, that's going to work. It might work though, actually. I say that, but it actually might. It might be better.
They're, I think they have more hope than Hugh Grant and Natalie. I was like, they understand each other too well. And he is much older than her. It is revealed in like kind of a weird way. I was like, oh.
Right.
Again, the power dynamics of youth. This is just a Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton situation happening. And I'm like,
right.
We're not going to call a spade a spade. Okay, Britain.
Right. Except he's not married. That's just the only thing, right? And so we can go to David and Natalie. So we've got, a Hugh Grant spotting. He is making, he's Hugh Granting all over the movie. Mm-hmm. This is just what Hugh Grant was hired to do, is exactly what he does in this. That is what he does in all films, especially like 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
I like, the only reason I like Hugh Grant is because of 2 Weeks Notice. I still think that's one of my top romantic comedies. It's so good. 2 Weeks Notice. Guys, if you haven't watched it in a while, find it, watch it. It's one of the
I don't know if I've seen it.
I own because what? You've never seen it?
It sounds familiar, but who's
Hugh Grant is like a rich, like a billionaire hotel magnate, and then he meets Sandra Bullock, who's an attorney at like Legal Aid in New York.
Oh.
So good. I think I've watched that movie maybe 100 times. It's up there with P.S. I Love You for me. Like, oh, love it.
And I said earlier he looks like my brother, and it kind of freaks me out. But right? I mean, well, because like here's the thing, like, am I not supposed to think Hugh Grant is handsome?
Well, I mean, they're different people. I mean, you're not saying that your brother, you find your brother attractive, but I'm just.
My brother is right. My brother is objectively a handsome man. He does not have the same sort of personality as Hugh Grant, but he gets compared to Hugh Grant all the time in terms of his looks. And so, yes, it is weird for me to see him on screen. But yeah, so Hugh Grant, Natalie, lots of fat jokes here. Brought on by Natalie's character herself in the very beginning, saying that her boyfriend broke up with her because she was getting fat and her thighs were huge. Wow.
Well, looks like
what makes it even,
Natalie?
Seriously.
Count yourself as lucky.
I mean, and the only positive thing is Hugh Grant clearly doesn't think that she's fat, but it's still like sewn into the fabric of her whole role. Like her dad calls her plumpy. The woman makes fun of her and says she's big, like the other woman in the office. I'm just like, dear Lord.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Like things that this might be just a cultural difference. It's still a very abrasive cultural difference. Whereas like I'm like, ow. But I feel like at least in the media that I consume of British people, like it seems very common for them to be very truthful about something like that, whereas in like at least in the Midwest we'd be like, oh, she's big bones, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Bones seem to be universally sized, but okay, we understand what you're saying, she's a larger person, whereas they would be like, oh, like I feel like calling someone fatty would just be like, it's a statement of truth and it's like used in a loving term, so what's the problem?
But she's not overweight at all. So that's the part that I'm just like, what?
No, I think she looks phenomenal. Like, I was like,
right.
Most people would kill for curves like that. Are you kidding me?
She's curves in all the right places. Like, she looks like a model. So that's what made it more troublesome, is I get it. Like, it can be a cultural difference. But I'm just like, is this what we're truth telling? that this woman who is like really slender, like fat, I don't know, it was weird. And then we have a cameo with Billy Bob, who I always love Billy Bob because he can do creepy, and he does it. He does a really, really creepy version of a US president.
Ugh.
It's terrible, but I like him as an actor, and this is what he was given, and he did it. He was an asshole. He was a full-on asshole. I mean, so Billy Bob has a phobia of antiques, antique furniture, and in the Amazon, I don't know why I know that, maybe because I just love Billy Bob, but in the Amazon trivia, when you're watching this on Prime, it popped up that Hugh Grant would flash like a piece of antique furniture, anything in front of Billy Bob right before they'd start a scene. Oh, just boys being boys.
How old does a piece of furniture have to be considered an antique by Billy Bob?
I have no idea.
Last season, like he's walking through a crate and barrel, and he's like, "Oh, last season, no, get it out of here, not in my home."
What the fuck sort of phobia is that? He is so neurotic, but like that is truly what I love about him. That's like not even neurotic. That is insane. That is just insane. Like, how does he even go about the world?
Exactly, especially in Europe, everything's an antique.
So that was the joke, is because they're in Europe and a lot of the set is antique stuff. Like, how did he even? I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, did he make it up?
Be walking around like Bubble Boy in Europe because you're just afraid of all the furniture. Ugh. How did I not know this about someone? I hope that this is a more common fear that I'm just being turned on to. Like, because now I want
here's
it to
the
be one
thing.
of my fears.
I want to look it up. I want to find out if it's listed as an actual phobia, or if it, because I know people can be afraid of things, but is it common enough? You know what? I'm gonna look it up.
It has a name.
Let's fucking figure this out.
People's phobias, but this is an interesting one.
No. Oh, phobia of antiques. Okay, it pops up. Let's see. Oh my God, there's a name for it. Oh, wow. I sort of figured maybe he made it up. No, it's epiplophobia, the extreme, irrational, and often unwarranted fear of furniture. Some people might be afraid only of certain types of furniture. Got it. So it's antique furniture. Oh my God.
Maybe he's also like some sort of like very powerful empath, and he's picking up like energies from the furniture. And
I am
this fear reaction.
Positive that Billy Bob is a powerful empath.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind, because he is too strange to not be.
Yeah. That makes sense. That tracks.
Okay.
I accept that.
Okay, we accept. I mean, Billy Bob, this is all out of love. If you ever find your way onto a strong female pod, I love your work. I'm a fan of your work, and I'm a fan of your brand of neuroses. So I love it. I just really didn't know that this was a thing. So I'm sorry for all your pain. Okay. Oh boy, where are we? So Natalie and David end up together. Great. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So in this article that basically just tears apart the misogyny in Love Actually, it points out the scene, and this is very romantic comedy-ish, when Hugh Grant's like, who do you have to screw around here to blah, 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 like in the middle of like the men's only meeting with us, maybe one or two females, the boardroom meeting. And then Natalie shows up. Ta-da!
Could it be me?
Could it be me? And my tree trunk thighs, or whatever the woman like said about her. Oh goodness. Okay.
Wow.
So now we have Alan Rickman's storyline with Emma Thompson.
Alan Rickman's voice. I'm just like, I wish he was alive so he could read me and narrate all the books. R.I.P. Alan Rickman, because I just want him to read me the books, all of them.
He's a good actor. He's a good actor. He's got a great voice. And this story is a little bit sad, although very vague, but we kind of touched on it before.
Most like common, the most
Mm-hmm.
it rings the most true, where it's not like I don't love my significant other, but I am bored and someone is showing me like a legit strong amount of attention, and what do I do with that?
Right. And people make mistakes. Like, life is gray. I'm not saying that, you know, he's a bad person. It's just a very male oriented view of that situation. I wish it was fleshed out a little bit more for her. I don't think the way she brought it up was bad, but I just wish we saw a little bit more for her, or perhaps her having that sort of inclination as well towards someone. Anything to just strip this of just the husband being bored and her doing all of the work for the family, and then him just being like, meh.
I feel like I like
Bummer.
that they bring up the question, at least, of what is infidelity. It seems like the story has a very strong line that infidelity is like physically cheating, having sex, which is probably a more male perspective on infidelity. Whereas I feel like, again, to give Emma's character a little bit more depth, not that it was needed, they could have made it more clear that emotional cheating is also cheating, which would have given her, again, more grounds to have a bigger reaction. Because even her, and that could, again, just be a cultural difference between like how an American woman would react to cheating, how a British woman would react to cheating. But it would have given her more leeway to have a bigger reaction because he's violated something clearly, where this was left ambiguous. So we're like, oh, I guess she's like, she could be mad, but like she also has like all the grounds in the world to take him back. They can work through this, but her boundary has been crossed. His wasn't.
Right. I could see that. And I do think that, you know, people can work it out. And, you know, it's impossible for someone to meet every need of yours through like the duration of a relationship. I mean, that's insane. I think that, you know, good people do bad things, or do things to hurt people, and doesn't mean they don't love the person. I guess I do think that they showed some depth to, or allowed her character to have some depth with Joni Mitchell, because Joni Mitchell is amazing and the song's amazing, Both Sides Now. But also when she says, you know, could this be sex, or could this just be flirtation? Could it be sex, or worse, could it be love? Mm-hmm. And I thought that in a sense was a little more progressive in a way, because she saw love as more of an affair than sex. Whereas I do think maybe it's commonplace view that women see the sex as like the ultimate cheating. And I read a study once that said that men view emotional cheating as much more hurtful than sex, and women view sexual cheating as much more hurtful. So I thought that's just kind of an interesting spin on it. Like, and
I feel the opposite. I feel like emotional cheating is more impactful than physically cheating. Mm-hmm. I feel like I feel like mistakes happen. Alcohol exists. But to carry on an emotional relationship with someone for, I'm assuming, months, if not years, that would shatter to the foundation. What?
For sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is and why it is that way. I agree with you. I would find that more shattering. But maybe it's just societal's kind of view of sex, and sex being a super important thing women can bring into the relationship. And then also just all of the weight on women to like look good, and all the pressure to look good. So then, you know, them not living up to the standard, they think it's about them, right? And their sexual appeal. Who knows what it is, but so they stay together at the end, it appears. Then we have, so Karen, Emma Thompson has a friend, Liam Neeson. He has lost his wife. She died, and he is taking care of his stepson, Sam, who is adorable with his bright blonde hair and dark brown eyes and his just emotional depth of love.
I was so convinced that kid had a dye job. I was like, why did they dye this kid's hair that
color? Yeah, why did they dye his hair?
I was so confused why he couldn't just have his natural hair color. No one knows what color the mom's hair was. It's fine. But they're like, no, make him blonde. Make him blonde.
Yeah. Oh, and I did forget to say Colin Firth's wife cheated on him with his best friend, and that's why he ended up meeting the woman. Anyways, but of course we don't get any depth to the woman who cheated. She's just an asshole, setting it up for him to meet the love of his life.
Yeah.
Whereas it's,
don't worry.
Like, oh, that's fine. What a dick. We'll take her out. Don't cheat on your man. But let's really look into this infidelity with the husband.
Yeah. Wouldn't be any of those possessive qualities coming out in a negative way that may have led someone to want to end a relationship with you, but not be strong enough to say the words. But I did the action of a breakup, but I didn't say the words. Yeah, it just makes no sense how that would be.
Crazy. So, yeah, seriously. So Liam Neeson, and here's an overlay of, the plot, because Emma Thompson knows Liam Neeson. And yeah, the boy's just in love with this girl who we meet at the end, and she's gorgeous and has the most beautiful voice, like an angel, singing the greatest Christmas song ever.
By one Mariah Carey. Hashtag free glitter.
It was adorable. It was adorable
hashtag
because
justice for glitter.
Justice for glitter. It was just adorable because like his love was unscathed. And that made sense for him to have that type of love. And not that you can't fall in love when you're older, but nothing, at least for me, I mean, just like nothing compares to the overwhelming feeling of your first love.
Yeah.
Like the overwhelming
that's attached to it. You're like, this is it. This is what everyone's been talking about. Like,
yep.
Yeah. I think it's the hope that goes along with your first love. Cause this is the everything at that moment. Whereas like adult love, you're just like, we've been through this a couple times. Let me see your baggage. I'll show you mine.
Yep. Yeah. It's baggage free.
Yeah.
In terms of relationships. Mm-hmm. So it's baggage free in terms of relationships, and you're sold this bill of goods about what they look like. And you're like, holy shit, this is it. Nothing is crazier than first love. So like I bought his, I'm like, yeah, he's a little young, but like, I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it. And that was adorable. And the dad, Liam Neeson, like going along with him on the ride was so sweet.
I loved it. It gave me a P.S. I love you vibe. And I feel like that's why I loved it. Like the way to get over a lost love is to pursue love in other areas of your life and self-love, and helping this little boy, get to his first love. I was like, I love it. God, I love P.S. I love you guys. It just reminded myself that I love it.
I need to see P.S. I love you.
I know. I've seen it.
I don't really love romantic comedies. So I haven't seen a lot of them.
I am dying. Listeners, I am dead. Call my mom and ask, plan my funeral because I am dead. This is it is one of the greats. It is nearly perfect.
Okay.
It's so good. Gerard Butler's there. They're in Ireland.
Okay. I'll give it a shot.
I cry already. Usually like I can get like maybe 10 minutes in without crying.
I'm going to give it a shot. Or you can just pick it as a movie, and then that will make me.
I won't even be able to give any sort of thing that it's gonna have. I can already tell you it's 5 out of 5. It's 4.5 out of 5. There are very few things that I would change.
Who's the woman in it?
It's the one from $1 Million Baby. Her name's.
Oh yeah, Hillary.
Hillary. Yeah.
Swank. Hillary Swank.
And what's her name is there? from Booksmart. She was the mom. What's her name? From Friends?
Lisa Kudrow?
Lisa Kudrow. She's there too. And the woman from AHS who played oh shoot, I'm just really bad at names today, but it's SFL laden. And we haven't had Hilary Swank up for any of her roles, but she is SFL gold.
She for sure is, and she's been doing them a while, like before it was cool to do. She was like paving SFLs. We got to bring in Hilary.
Yeah.
All right, I'll watch it. So Liam Neeson then meets Claudia Schiffer, who I read got paid $300,000 for her role, which was all of 10 seconds. I was like, holy shit. And she is beautiful. Like, she's gorgeous. And I love the imperfect teeth that both her and Keira Knightley have. They have, I don't know if Claudia Schiffer has changed her teeth or straightened them, or Keira Knightley has, but I'm loving their teeth game in this movie. I love imperfect but nice teeth. Anywho, she shows up.
Their teeth. Interesting.
And by imperfect, I mean they just didn't get braces, right? Like they're just normal teeth.
Oh, boo. That's like my teeth. Ugh.
Oh, they're great. If they're nice and they're a good color and they're healthy, I think it's wonderful.
I don't know. I go back and forth for wanting like perfect teeth. I was like, but perfect is better than not perfect. And so, but then you get that price for braces and you're like, I think imperfect is okay.
Yeah.
I can live with this.
For sure. If your parents didn't get them for you when you were a kid, it meant they weren't that bad, right? Like or I shouldn't say that. They're expensive. Not everyone can afford braces. If your parents were able to afford them, usually they were saved for the children who were all sorts of jacked up. I was one of them. I had too many teeth. I had like 6 permanent teeth pulled.
What?
And I know I've told you about my jaw surgery. Yeah. My face took total reconstruction.
Holy crap.
I was fucked. So my mom, that was very kind of her.
What causes that? Like, for like some people to have like teeth that come, because my teeth are not perfect according to my dentist. They look okay.
I always thought you have really nice teeth. It's the way your face it grows, right? So mine and it's genetics. So it's like the type of teeth, how many, and also just like the fact that I had such a huge overbite and a tiny chin. And that combination of factors just made my teeth go everywhere.
I am also just realizing that most of the time when I see a skull, it's some sort of rendering or plastic skull. And that could also be why I'm like, why do some people's teeth not come in perfect? When you see skulls, perfect teeth. And it's because they're not real. They're hardly ever real.
I never thought of that.
Right? Because like...
What?
Like when you go to a museum and you see like skulls and stuff, like or like mummies and things, and like they all have like relatively straight teeth. And I'm like, well, how did like for so many thousands of years teeth grow in fine, and then all of a sudden in the past 200 years teeth have been fucked up? What kind of like lobbying power do
we've come so far. We've come so far, yet teeth are not following.
God, I have so many inventions for teeth. Like, I just don't understand why no one is like on teeth science. Where are dentists? Like, I feel like people are talking way too much about tummy teas and not enough about like how to have perfect teeth with 0 to no effort.
Teeth science. The Invisalign. Isn't that like the easiest?
Yeah, but why are we still manually brushing teeth? Like, the action of me holding toothbrush to mouth should be obsolete by now. How long have we been doing it? If I have computers that can think for me and I don't have one machine that can brush my teeth, come on.
We're getting there. The electronic toothbrush is the beginning, but now you don't want to have to hold it. Why don't you get Why don't you get a
bite
tooth
on it
stand?
like a mouth guard. I want to bite on it like a mouth guard, and then have like it molded to my mouth, and then it just like I don't know, like tiny like scrubbies or like teeny tiny squeegees just go in and perfectly like clean.
Oh my God. I'm obsessed with thinking about this. Why don't you get like some sort of stand for your toothbrush, and then you have a switch, and then you just smile.
Yeah.
You just go up to it.
Oh
my
God. An elaborate way to brush my teeth just so I don't have to raise my arms. Sometimes my arms hurt. I work out now.
Oh, the good hurt. You know, we love the good hurt. So this is all fine and dandy. This is a great storyline. The boy gets a little kiss on the cheek, and I think she's moving though. So I'm just kind of like, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah.
She's going to America, but like she kissed him. So that's it.
So cute. I love that storyline. Oh, that to
Then
me
we have
like, is
Sarah.
the only storyline that I remembered. I was like, yeah, the one with the little boy and Keira Knightley. That was it. All these other storylines, I was like, you were there? Hugh Grant was there?
I know. I know. It's weird to see. I do remember the Laura Linney one. And I think I remembered it because, you know, she has a mentally ill brother. And my brother has schizophrenia and was on medication, but was definitely still struggling at that time. And I could relate to, I was in college though, when this movie came out, but I could relate to a lot of energy going towards just kind of like keeping the family intact or keeping a family member steady or just kind of rounding them up. And this one made me really sad. But then it also made me so sad that they couldn't get past the fact that she had to take that call. Like it was just over. Like they couldn't, I was like, that's a deal breaker. Like,
I mean,
you just went home with her for the first time and you guys have, and she takes the call from, I mean, does she not explain it to him? I think she did. I was just like, real shitty on the guy's part to not even, there's no attempt.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
That was super shitty. I 100% agree. And I was like, you know who's calling, right? It's not like she's, you know, ignoring you for like just a little girl chat, like, you know, with a best.
Right.
This person needs her. And I was also confused. I was like, is this a long distance call? Is Laura Linney American?
No, she lives she's American. Does he live in England too?
What?
Where are they all?
I was like, wait, did she move to London with her brother? What?
Yeah, the logistics of it all are unclear. Maybe they did. Maybe they all lived in England. I guess we're supposed to assume that. But it's like, she's his only family member, right? I think her parents are deceased or not in the picture. I don't remember which. But what I really didn't like about that message is that the fact that she had something overriding the attention that she could give this gloriously handsome individual, I will say, overriding the attention that she could give him, then she just couldn't have love. Yeah. I didn't, I just didn't like it.
I think that I would hope that people would take away is that if someone's asking you to choose between them and your family, choose your family. Yeah. Unless there's like something seriously wrong in your family, like there's an abusive dynamic, like this is a mentally ill person who is reaching out for help from the only family member that they have. And you're asking me to ignore their phone call to lay in bed with you. And I'm like, while that is super sweet, and I understand even your sentiment behind it, like you just want to spend more time together, and I understand that. But I have other responsibilities. Again, it's like, this isn't a puppy love, like first love situation where I'm coming in with no baggage. This is my baggage. My baggage is in the form of a person who I also love. You can't ask me that. Right. Unless it's like taking away from my quality of life. Like if I'm supporting this person and I just like, I'm unable to do it and I'm putting myself in jeopardy in order to make this other person's life or situation happen, then you might have, a leg to stand on, but like this situation is just like, I want what I want. Stop being a good person.
I mean, to play, and I agree entirely, but to play devil's advocate, this guy is at him, and this is not stuff that the guy knows about her brother, so it's super annoying. He's being annoying no matter what. But her brother's at a mental health care facility, so he should be able, the people should be able to talk him down and not need his sister to pop in and play doctor. So there are some like issues with the care being given him, but also like just the boundaries for her, which stink. She's fallen into full-blown caregiver, and it seems like that could become unhealthy. But all that aside, that did not have to ruin any attempt to like salvage a relationship between them. And I guess they do hang out like afterwards. I forgot the scene. Like he does call her and then she joins him. Oh no, that's her brother. Oh, oops. Nope. Carl's out of it. Yeah, Carl's just a big old dick.
Yeah.
That was her brother. And it's just like fucking A.
I agree that like the care facility should be able to handle him. But I also think if she's putting up a boundary in terms of like, hey, it's okay to call me between these hours and not between these hours, that's not something you do so abruptly, especially if he's expecting it. That could be the thing that sets him off.
Right.
And even that's not her responsibility, but I would imagine that's where her head is. Like,
I hope Laura Linney's character figures out how to be able to have her own life and not be on call for him. I hope that she figures that out. I think Carl was a shit for not even attempting to understand like the struggle that might be going on.
Well, I also think like, you know, I'm going to give him one point in, you know, he was in a negative situation. Like he was very much in the negative, like a -1 in terms of person. I'm going to put him up to a neutral 0 for at least knowing his own limits. If this is going to be a problem or an issue for you throughout the duration of a relationship, like if you need this much attention in your relationship, then know thyself and to thyself be true and leave. Leave now. Don't wait.
Know thyself.
Know thyself. Some people are just like that, where you just need 100% of the person that you're with's attention.
If you're there and available, then they better be.
Yeah. But I'm like, if you can't handle like 70%, if you can't be okay with like 70%, I'm going to say like 10% for that that person's me time, and then 20% for this other figure in their life, then like, again, that's something to know about yourself.
You know what? Good job, Carl. Good job for knowing yourself.
You're now, a person, not good, not the worst, just a neutral person.
So Colin, Tony, and the American Girls. I'm going to go through this one really fast because it was stupid. And it did sort of seem like the way England may have viewed American women, like all hot, all DTF. Like this was very strange to me, where he goes to the bar and first of all, these actresses like January Jones, Alicia Cuthbert, and then later Shannon Elizabeth and Denise Richards. I'm like, this is not what like an average American woman looks like. God. And his dream came true.
I mean, I guess Denise Richards is the only one who's actually even from the Midwest. So I was like, fine, you've got 1 out of 4 correct, or 1 out of 5 correct. But I'm like, the rest of these girls, I'm like, one of them is not American. And I was like, okay, cool. Honestly,
that seemed like it was just like the writer's wet dream. Like it just seemed like that was such a male, that storyline was ludicrous.
I also thought that like he sees them as hot because they're American, like they see him as hot because he's British. Like they're very equally matched in that way, because they all think he's attractive just because he has an accent, and he thinks they're attractive likely because they're American and into him. So I'm like, moot point.
But they were objectively, at least, I mean, these were all models basically that they pulled.
Yeah, but I think if we were to like, somehow put the lens behind these 4 women's eyes, it would they would see him as Colin Firth and not as whoever that actor is.
No, I get what you're saying. I guess I'm just like, really, they're all roommates.
Oh,
They're all hanging out together and they're all DTF.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part where I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, we all sleep in a tiny bed together.
You know, we just don't have money. Oh, it's going to be sweaty. We're all like this.
I wish they would have played that more as a comedy moment than allowing it to be like some sort of subtle satire. I was like, no, if you're going to like do this and like,
do it up.
Scenery, make it outrageous. But I was like, yeah, this is too subtle. And
do it up.
Actually, it was un-American. We don't do subtle.
No, we don't do subtle. And the only one who kind of seemed funny about it, who was playing it up, was Shannon Elizabeth in the airport when she was like, hi, this is my sister. She's real friendly. And I'm like, where's that accent? And then also, where's that accent from? And that seemed to be playing it up a tiny bit. But other than that, the rest of them were just like, we're hot. And we're going to kiss. And a young January Jones.
I thought her lines were pretty funny. I thought she delivered them pretty funny. She's the short hair blonde.
Yeah.
I thought she did pretty good. But like January Jones, I was like, why are you here?
Well, I got confused with her. I confused her. I thought she was the porn star. I thought the porn star made her way over there. And then I was like, wait a second. They look exactly the same. So I'm just going to skip over the John and Judy. That was just like, I thought they were just making their professional stand-ins for films and they stand in for sex scenes. It was just boring.
That was dumb.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, do we need both of these? We have the like anonymous Midwest sex. Do we also need the stand-ins? I guess it's like love can find you no matter where, like, you know, type thing, like when you least expect.
But they were just so, it was just boring. She was super cute, but it was super boring. And then 1 month later, we have the epilogue. I can't believe we went through this whole thing. We said we weren't going to. Then they end up at Heathrow Airport and they all kind of know each other. And that's where we find out that they all kind of know each other.
Isn't that crazy? Has it ever happened to anyone at any point ever? Where you're just like, all of a sudden I'm at the airport and then unplanned, all of my oh my God, you're my third grade teacher. Oh my God. You're like Sandy's boyfriend, you know.
Why are they all at the airport? Why are they all at the airport at the same time? What the fuck?
Like on July 4th, they allow only a certain number of British people out of the country. And it just happens to be my family's turn. Yay.
What? I was kind of like, oh, this is boring. Yeah, we see how they intertwine, but they gave no attempt to make it realistic that they were all at the airport. I mean, some of them are related or friends, but still, you don't go to the airport every time your friend or your relative goes to the airport.
No.
And
okay, maybe this was written pre 9/11. When you could still just like go up to the gate, like, and you could just have a lot of people in the airport sending you off. But
I don't think so. I think that there's a 9/11 reference in it.
Oh yeah, in the voiceover.
So okay, there you have it. SFL. Who said, okay, so our criteria, we gotta wrap this shit up, man. Our criteria is top billed, but there's a lot of top billing here. Top billed, has agency, moves the plot along. Okay, I'm looking at the picture. I'm just gonna call all of these people top billed. Laura Linney, Emma Thompson, Keira Knightley, and Natalie.
I mean, I would only seriously consider Laura Linney and Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
Because they have a problem. So their individual storylines have plots.
Yeah.
To overcome. I for sure would say that, well, I don't know. I'm on the fence a little bit with Emma Thompson's character. She definitely has agency. She's making choices. She confronts in her British way her husband about the cheating. I just can't remember if there was like a resolution or if she grew, changed, or did anything differently. Seems like
it doesn't seem like she moves the plot along because we don't find out what happened. We don't know if he changed his ways, if he did something, if anything happened as a reaction to her confronting him. Mm-hmm. So I feel like she doesn't move the plot along. And I feel like Laura Linney, you know, she has agency and she does move the plot along, her plot, in the fact that she chooses her brother.
But that wasn't really her problem. She's that's where she started.
Yeah. No argument here. I don't know. Can there not be an SFL in a movie with this many women? Is it possible?
I think it might be, because I was like, I agree with you about Emma Thompson in that, like, yeah, we don't see the storyline have any sort of resolution, so we can't really definitively say that she like moves the plot forward. I mean, she moved the goalpost, like she made a decision that changed potentially the outcome, but we don't have the outcome. And then Laura Linney, she starts out being kind of not a slave, but like very much attached to the desires of her brother, so much so that she's giving up her own life in the outside world in order to like make herself available to him. And then she ends up still choosing to do that in the end, even though like we kind of have no, that's the resolution. She's continuing on the same path, and we're just hoping she's more aware of the decision that she's making.
You're right. None of these women move the plot along, and the only women who end up happily with a man don't talk that much.
Their stories aren't about them.
And and those okay, so here's the message. If the story is about you as a woman, you will not get the happy ending. No pun intended. If the story isn't about you and it's about the man, and you don't really do much to alter the story, you'll end up with the man. There you go.
Yeah.
Great.
If you're okay with being a co-star, never being named, possibly only credited as woman, then you'll probably get the happy ending that you're desiring. If you want your name in lights, have any desire to take the stage on your own, you're going to have a problem.
It's a story for the ages.
Yeah. Get ready for the one-woman show, Liza with the Z, like just only a spotlight on you.
This is a terrible, terrible, terrible message for little girls. But this movie is still extremely popular. It's considered a holiday classic. It grossed approximately $250 million worldwide. So there you have it. What would you rate?
Guys, movies matter. Seeing movies matters, and when you go see movies that are bad and you make them classics, I'm totally a part of this. I voted for this also. But we have to get out to our local theaters and support better movies. And by better movies, I mean Booksmart.
And guys, I picked this movie because I loved it in 2003. Okay, so I had not seen it since. I picked it because I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to have issues, but like, this will be fun. I found myself disturbed. And that is what happens.
That's the hardest part about this show, because I'm like, some movies I love, but I just won't choose because I'm like, I don't want them to be shattered.
No.
Like, just even saying like, P.S. I love you, I was like, wait a second, maybe there are more problematic themes, or like 2 weeks notice. Like maybe there are 27 dresses. There are problematic themes in those, especially
there could be. And it doesn't just ruin the movie. It makes me question everything that I was told growing up and being told now. And it just makes me like not like things sometimes.
It makes me not like my younger self a little bit, because she was completely in love with this movie and most of the romantic comedies.
It's not your fault though. You can't know if this is what's being fed. to us. Like, we
Yeah.
can't know. This is when there weren't that many women writers. Like, this would never be written by a woman. Ever, ever,
Not
ever,
like
ever,
this.
ever.
But
Not
challenge
to this.
accepted. I'm gonna find an equally bad woman movie written by a woman, and I'm gonna leave it on the Instagram and be like, boom, gotcha. This is just as bad.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe shit.
I think it'll be
Maybe
a
they
lot
had
harder.
to. It'll be harder, but maybe they had to get it made. I mean, depends when it was made, right? Okay, so let's rate this. I mean, I enjoyed the rewatch in the sense that it was light and it was just like, la la la, I drank my wine and I like could fast forward through parts because I forgot it was over 2 hours and I could still get the entire like gist of it. But 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. I don't even know what to. 1 out of 5 Heathrow airports. That's how dumb. That's how dumb it is. I can't even come up with a good scale.
Heathrow is an amazing airport, though.
It is. But it's a terrible scale.
It's a terrible. It's because it's giant. So I mean, are you
Yeah.
saying it's good or bad?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm gonna give this 2 out of 5, only
Okay.
because I know you've already seen it, and I highly recommend that you watch it again. Because if in any movie you can really see what we're asking Hollywood for, this is a very easy one to see. Like the scale
Yeah.
that we are judging movies on really makes sense in a movie like this. We're like, what are these women doing? They're simply
Yeah.
fixtures. They may as well be lamps being spoken about and moved about by the men in the stories and in their lives. And I'm like, this is exactly what we're asking Hollywood to stop making. Stop making Love Actually.
This is an example of the criteria not being met. And it couldn't be any clearer. And they have a ton of different times that they can change it. There are 10 storylines, people. Yeah. Not one of them involves a woman who meets the criteria. Yes.
But it's also for nostalgia purposes. That's why I'm giving it a 2.
Yeah.
I know you've already seen it, but it's not a terrible watch. Like it's 2.5 hours.
It's easy.
2:15, and it's easy watch. Like you're saying, grab a glass of wine, and then like if nothing else, watch with a friend. That way you can like get the same type of dialogue going with just a what the fuck? Are we serious? What was happening in 2003? What was my mom thinking? Letting me see this.
If you watch it with knowing what it's going to give you, it's funny. Mm-hmm. It can be enjoyable in that way, but it is, it's terrible messaging, but it does show, we've come a long way, but there's still a lot more work to do. Yeah. Well, guys, that is it. And, you can always find us on Instagram at Strong Female Pod.
Yes. And we're continuing our Christmas series. So if you have any suggestions, things you want to see that are holiday inspired and feature an SFL, tweet it at us at SFL_Chicago.
And that's it.
That's it. And there is no more.
There is no more. Until next time.
Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.